You are watching TFI.
Hi, welcome to TFI for another video in the series of Autodesk University 2019 Inventor class track videos, where we are discussing the classes that Autodesk have on this year for Autodesk Inventor with a few of the speakers. It's all part of the anniversary of Inventor turning 20 years old, and to commemorate that, Autodesk have put on a special class track this year of carefully selected classes hosted by a range of talented speakers, and we're interviewing a couple of them today. So with me I have Loren, Welch and Garin, Gardiner. The class we're talking about today is IM323065 is the arbitrary code for this class. It's Ask the Inventor Product Manager panel, because both Loren and Garin are product managers for the Autodesk Inventor product, which is obviously very relevant to my channel. And we'll start with yourself, Loren. You hail from Ohio. Is that correct? Is that where you're based?
So I am based out of Ohio. I am not from Ohio. That's a clear distinction in this region. So.
That's right. I'm just stalking people on LinkedIn, and then I just copy and paste it off that. So that's all I had to go off. But you've been with Autodesk for nearly 12 years. Obviously, with you being a product manager for Autodesk Inventor, I guess you'll have worked on quite a few things in the Inventor product line that people use day in and day out. Is there anything in particular with your time as a PM that particularly stands out that people could recognize as being your work? So
one of my first projects is really what is the shared use in Inventor. So being able to publish your design to the Autodesk viewer, that was one of my first projects while I was on the PM team. And then I did quite a bit of work on the design automation on Forge, which is currently in public beta. So I did a lot of work on those projects, and a lot of what I've done is really customer engagement and feedback started out as North America and Europe. And now I handle Europe, and Garin has the customer engagement for North America.
Awesome. So how did you get into the PM line? So starting out at Autodesk, making your way through, what was your sort of track through the field and into the PM line?
Yeah, so I started out in technical sales, primarily working with our enterprise accounts. So working with our big global accounts, obviously they had a lot of requests, a lot of feedback, and they wanted kind of a direct pipeline into the product development organization. So I found myself as a technical account manager, interfacing a lot with the product management team at Autodesk, and really trying to representing the customer and their needs, and really facilitating that engagement. So working with the product management team as much as I did, it was just something that I found would be a great next step, and something that it was good to see how they could take feedback from the customers and turn it into actual functionality and workflow support inside of the product. And to me, that was something I wanted to do.
So on to Garin. Garin's from Portland, Oregon. Just over 16 years at Autodesk. Ex-Fusion 360 product manager. I looked at that. That was between 2012 and 2014.
Yeah.
Is there just same question, I guess, to you, Garin? Is there anything in particular that you've worked on the Inventor line that you're particularly proud of that people might recognize?
So I helped kick off early days of our BIM interoperability. That was one of the first product management tasks I had. So I've kind of followed the BIM flow. You know, we've had kind of 3 iterations of it, and I've been involved with all of those. Probably one of the other things, I don't know if you remember this old 2D to 3D tool. It was an add-in that would take your 2D data and convert it to a 3D model with a little work.
Love that, yeah. It never seemed to come out of beta, though. It was always sort of hanging around labs, but then never kind of made it out of there.
Yeah, that was kind of an early project of mine too. And that, you know, I was PM for Inventor for many years, moved over to Fusion for several years, and came back about 2 years ago. So I've been on both sides.
I guess for the benefit of anyone out there who's watching this and isn't familiar with what the product managers do, is it possible to sort of give a brief overview of what a product manager does sort of day in and day out within Autodesk?
You know, I think one of our big roles, we work a lot with the development team and the customers. We're kind of a liaison between the two to understand what the needs of the customers are, kind of looking at the trends in industry, condensing that down into something that we can build a roadmap and work with the development team to really bring it to fruition. So, day in, day out, we kind of bounce back and forth between customers and the dev team and, a host of other working with the executives as well.
Are you guys at all, I suppose this is probably a question that's on the tip of the tongue of most of the viewers, is do you guys make the decisions on what goes into the product, or do you have, is it put to a vote? Because I imagine there's more than just the two of you guys working on the product management team. So do you guys have that kind of say in the product line?
We do, right? So we present both from customer feedback and like Garin said, like eye in the industry and really just Autodesk strategy. And so we have projects or things that we know we need to work on. And then we kind of put that together as how we plan releases, we plan updates, and ultimately, yes, that goes. There's people above us that could nix things or help prioritize things a bit more. But really, the product management team on the Inventor product line is tasked with building out what we're doing next and why.
I think, to add to that a little bit, it's a little bit of a funnel that, each release, we start out with kind of a wide funnel of high level initiatives and things that we're going to focus on. And then throughout the year and planning, you get down to the specific features and, buttons that are going in there. And, we have involvement along that kind of entire process. But, as it gets a little closer to, the buttons and UI, we work with our UX team to kind of figure out what that looks like. And, there are a host of teams that kind of have a responsibility for that. But, we try to have a triad that kind of looks at the project and figuring out what's in, what's out, what it's going to look like. So it's not just one person, it's several people coming together, looking at that. And then we get a lot of feedback along the way. We do a lot of research and customer feedback just to make sure that, we're not deciding on things that customers don't care about.
So I guess speaking of that, is there anything in or about Inventor that you wish you could change, or that you can't really, or you won't change? So that's probably a difficult question to answer. Like for it,
I've got a really easy one. So coming from SolidWorks, especially, and getting into Inventor, one of the things that I found to be the greatest thorn in my side was project files. To this day, I still hate them with a passion. And when I came to the product management team, I had this wonderful goal of, probably more appropriate, just getting rid of project files.
I think I'd be all right with that, to be honest, because they are an absolute pain in the backside. But then it does raise a whole load of questions as to, if you do get rid of them, how do you solve the problems that would then arise from getting rid of them? Like how would you link into Vault? How would you map folders into Vault? How would you define search paths, all that kind of stuff? So is there anything within Inventor that you guys are aware of which you define as one of the most significant leap forwards recently with Inventor that you've seen and possibly even worked on? One of the biggest advancements in the last few years that have sort of taken Inventor to that next level? So
for me, iLogic continuously surprises me with, it's been in the product for a little while now. But, it's one of those things that more and more of our customers every year take advantage of it. And when we visit customers and see what they're doing with it. So, I don't think it's groundbreaking, new technology, but I think allowing customers to create automation without having to be a developer is been pretty awesome. So, I think that's an area that's impacted a lot of our customers very positively over the years.
No, one of the things I was thinking is one of Garin's projects is, the modernization and the piece we've done with the panelization, the research we put into that. I know, Garin put together a post and a video that our XD team put together on what we did behind that. And to me, the big leap there is just the amount of research we did. We from eye tracking to user studies to usability. So it wasn't just putting a fresh coat of paint on Inventor. I mean, we were really evaluating Inventor's 20 years old, 20 million lines of code. And so a lot of those lines of code is how can we make those more efficient? How can we update the core code base to make it more efficient for our users from a usability and just taking advantage of new hardware and OSs that we've got to work on, right?
So when you're talking about panelization, are you talking about just the making all the commands modular so they all pop out into their own dockable panels and making everything sort of consistent across the product?
Yeah, and it actually went a lot farther than that. That we tracked how customers used those commands today, like extrude, hole, we did some eye tracking and would watch how they would go through the process. And customers that have been using the product for 5-10 years, as they went through it, it was almost this just frenetic, kind of all over the place. We really wanted to have a, start at the top, work your way down, kind of a linear process where possible. And, if you look at side by side, the eye tracking, it's exactly what we did. And a lot of that came from a lot of research, a lot of usability tests, and, making adjustments and testing more customers and making adjustments to make the flow much smoother, much cleaner. So, there's a lot that went into it. It looks nicer, that they can be dockable, but really the key was how can we get customers through the command faster and easier?
So, all right, we'll move on to your class, which is Ask the Inventor Product Manager panel. It's on the Tuesday, it's November 19th, 1:30 p.m. until 2:30 p.m., that's a good day, actually, mate. That's probably the best time slot you can have, just after lunch on the first day where everyone's still fresh. The learning objectives for the class is gain a better understanding of the why and how functionality gets added to Inventor PDMC, which is the Product Design Manufacturing Collection, and the factory utilities. Learn which product managers handle which projects within the Inventor team. Hear some of the key points that influence the viewpoints of Inventor product managers, and then to understand how you can affect and influence Inventor product development. So with the PM panel, Is this more of an information distribution for you guys to relay information to the customers, or is it more of you wanting feedback from attendees, or a bit of both in equal measures?
I think it's both. We do a lot of customer engagement throughout the year on the Inventor team, and one of the things we really try to relay to customers when we meet with them face to face or virtually is the kind of the lenses we look through from a product development perspective, and the balance we have to strike with what customers are requesting, the demands we see coming out in the market, and really Autodesk strategy, right? We can't really vary too wildly off of any one of those three things, and there has to be a balance. And the question always is, why aren't you doing this, or why are you doing this as a product line? And so we want to use it as an opportunity to kind of explain ourselves, for lack of a better term, but also get feedback from customers on, is it a healthy balance? Do they feel like they're being heard? That's really the point of this class. And when we first did it last year, it really felt like it was good to get people's perspective on what we are doing, both good and bad, but also help just understand, give people an understanding of what we look at from a product development perspective, right? It's not just one of those three areas. We have to listen to customers, we have to look at the market, and we have to follow, Autodesk strategy if we want to be around for a while.
Yeah,
I think to add to that too, a lot of our customers still don't know how to share their voice, how to promote things that they would like in the product. So, kind of sharing the idea station, we have these inside the factory events. So just trying to share with them how they can communicate to us better and take part of that. So, if nothing else, just raising awareness of some of these tools that they can use today.
Sure. Loren, you mentioned before that some people wanting to know why certain things are the way they are and why you haven't done things that they've may have brought up sort of 10 years ago. It's still things that are in the product. I imagine quite a few people turn up and walk into your class sort of wound up like a cheap watch, almost approaching it like a bit of an ambush. Do these panels ever get heated, or are they usually kept fairly professional in your experience?
I think they're kept professional. We definitely have passionate users that, some people I think come in to make their point, and I think that's good. I'd rather have somebody do that than not care. So we had some pretty, I'd say, jovial discussions last year with some of the users. But a lot of it is pretty interesting, because a lot of it is things that people might think they're super easy to do or accomplish. And that's where, honestly, a lot of times we kind of send them or point them to Steve Dennis's class, the Ask the Developer class, because Steve can get way down in the weeds and tell them why those things are not easy to do. And, the other thing is, as much as, we don't like saying it or customers don't like hearing it, some things that customers want are really only affect them. And if it doesn't affect the majority of our users, it really does fall on priority for us. And we have to do that. Yeah,
it's the same. I mean, in a weird way, it's sort of the same for me. I always get video requests from people who say, can you tell me how to model the hull of a certain type of yacht? And like, really, it's not really a video that's gonna suit a lot of people. But I guess on on that note, is there a complaint or a certain question or a line of communication that you tend to get almost every single time you do one of these panels? Sort of the most common complaint or bit of feedback?
So I can think of one. Garin, I don't know if you have one off the top of your head.
Let's hear yours. Maybe that'll spur some thoughts on my end.
The one that I always find interesting is when people say, stop adding new functionality and just fix any defect you have. Yeah. I think that's a great utopian idea, and we would sell 0 new licenses if we did that, and the product line would not be around.
Yeah.
And people that say that also have new functionality they want in the product, and it's one of those things that I think if people really thought about what they were asking, they would never ask that. Yes, we have to fix defects, totally agree, but if we don't continue adding functionality and innovating, we wouldn't be a viable product.
No, I mean, that is probably, that's a very common one. And, we get, I'd say performance, one of the common things that we get asked all the time is, making Inventor faster, whether it's part modeling, assemblies. And that's something, if you look back the last 4 or 5 years, we've actually, Inventor is 25-ish% faster than it was 4 years ago. We continue to refine and work on that. But, we have customers that, we have customers that have 1 million part assemblies. And, today it's, we're pretty good. We're continuing to work at it, but, it's a hardware and software kind of in conjunction. So that's a pretty common one.
Yeah, I'm probably guilty of that one. I think my entire year last year was sort of on a crusade to get used to sort of make Inventor multi-threaded until I realized that, you just said there's 20 million lines of code, so it's not quite as easy as it sounds.
Yeah.
But I've seen the performance improvements that Inventor's had over the years, and it's measurable how faster it's become.
Yeah.
So for the PM panel itself, it's obviously not the first time you guys have done this. Is there any notable bits of feedback that you've been given that you've then taken back to headquarters and acted upon, and that have made it through into the product that have come out of the PM panel?
I'll say last year, one of the things that came out, PM panel, and then, after we launched the product, a number of customers asked for a dark theme. Something that's been bubbling up over the years and really kind of came to a head a bit last year. So that's something that we've invested a bit in this year, and something that we hope to add as a preview in the product at some point. To get it in as soon as possible. It's things like that development has changed a lot over the last 10 years where, we weren't as agile 10 years ago, where now, we can get feedback from these panels and, early in the year and be able to pivot, make adjustments, and actually get things into the product, the next release or even a point release. So, I think there are a number of things that we've heard from these panels where we've been able to adjust our schedule and functionality from them.
Do you find that on the panel you get a lot of questions that you just simply can't answer because for commercial reasons, for I guess reasons that you just can't commit to the answers yet? Is there a lot of that on these panels?
Not a ton, but there's a bit, right? I think people, they want to hear responses to their specific things. And so some of it is we do kind of defer to our development friends, and that's where Steve Dennis probably gets a lot of people that walk out of our session and go to his. But if they're asking about specific functionality or why something can or cannot be done. But I think the other thing is just more of an open communication of how like the ideas station or the ideas page works, and really walking, having a description on that with customers. And we've actually changed our process a bit there to be even more transparent with customers on what we look at and how they can be more effective there. But, we do operate the AU class under Safe Harbor, and we don't record it. So we can be pretty open with our customers there, which is nice. But there's certain things where I think I had a couple pages of notes, I think you did last year, Garin, as well, where I didn't know the answer because it was some niche request functionality that I would have to go look up. But for the most part, there's nothing from a commercial or futures perspective that is super off limits for us. And I think that's one of the things we try to do with this class is to be as transparent and open as we can be.
Yeah, and this is part of the process. if somebody had a new idea there, we're not going to take it and run with it and it shows up in the product. Something like, feedback that we get there, we balance that out with surveys and information that we've captured during the year. And, based on one of the challenges of product manager, we have far more requests than we can ever add to the product. So it's trying to gather, the core things that our customers are asking for and move forward with those types of things. So, a lot of this is just another touch point, another opportunity for us to hear from customers around those things. And then, we kind of condense that into something that's manageable for us to develop and add to the product.
Awesome. I guess speaking of things that are happening in the future, I understand that there's another class going on. Are you on this one, Garin, the Crystal Ball class, or is that just you, Loren?
Yeah, both of us.
You're both on that. So yeah, but is that class just an insight as to what's coming in the future?
Yeah, we like to kind of highlight some of the development process, just how we get feedback and how that turns into what's coming in the product. And then we like to share what, projects we're working on, things that we're looking to add. Sometimes we don't know when some of these things are going to land. We don't know if it's the next major release or after, but we can share some insights on these are the things we've heard about. These are projects that we're actively working on. And, we like to get feedback there as well. But yeah, a lot of the things that they hear there, these are things that have moved along the path more than just an idea. It's things that we're actively working on and looking to get into the product.
Yeah, and we like to take it a little bit beyond what users have access to through the beta, through the feedback community. So if like yourself, if you're an active feedback community member and you see the alpha and beta builds we're rolling out for the next update or the next release, you'll see some duplicate there. But we want to make sure we're getting that to a wider audience at Autodesk University, because it's a great opportunity for us to do that and get, again, people either excited or give us feedback on what we're doing right and doing wrong with some of these commands and enhancements we're putting in place. But to Garin's point, we also like to talk more about some things that maybe even beta or feedback customers haven't seen. So some of the things that are, I'd say, deep into research and looking like we're going to be doing some development or testing on. Again, it's one of those where we try to show things we have a high level of confidence in delivering. Don't know when per se, but we want to give people an idea of what we're thinking about and where we're going. So if people want to make sure they're on top of that project and active in the feedback community, giving us feedback early and often as we're developing that workflow or that set of functionality, they can get involved as soon as they want. Right.
Yeah. Awesome. So is there anything else that you guys are going to be getting up to over at AU this year, or is that the bulk of it?
I mean, AU is a great time for us. You never get that many customers together in one place where you can just chat with them. So, when we're not in classes, we like to roam around and just chat with folks and, get feedback from them, hear what's going on, how they're liking the newest release, if they've been playing with beta. So a lot of it is just us getting a chance to connect. And, we also we connect with other teams. I work a lot with the Revit team, and it's a great chance to see a lot of them there. We'll do, meetings with Autodesk folks as well. So really, it's just a great opportunity for us to connect with a lot of different folks.
Did you guys see the interview that I did with Steve and Derek?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did that? So did the information that came out of that, did that kind of align with how you guys felt and had been the direction you'd been given internally, or did anything new come out of that? Was it a relief? Was it sort of reassuring, or was it pretty much everything that you guys already knew?
I think it's the message that we've been trying to get out on the Inventor side for a while, and I don't think it was sticking, right? Anytime I'd present, or any of us would present in front of customers or at AU or AU London, one of the first questions I'd get after would be like, how does this relate to Fusion, or what is Fusion going to replace Inventor and things like that? And it was frustrating internally because we could see that that was not the case, but it's hard to articulate, the strategy of both without going into like a lot of just Autodesk verbiage and vernacular and just confusing people even further. So it's one of those where, from the Inventor side, it was frustrating because I felt we were just confusing our customers. Internally, I thought the message was really clear, and we just weren't able to verbalize that properly. And I think that interview you did really helped solidify a lot of how we view things internally. And, I don't get those questions nearly as much as I used to. So
that's good.
I guess thank you for that.
You're welcome. I mean, Autodesk definitely didn't, not from the product team side, but I think from more of a market and PR side, didn't do themselves any favors. Just before I did that interview, I had a couple of screenshots ready to show Steve and Derek, which I don't think it actually made it to the video, but the landing page, the sales page for Inventor was, this is product design or manufacturing, the tool that you need. And then on Fusion page, it was like product design has changed. This is the new tool. So it was like jumping from one page to the other. Fusion was almost saying, this is the new normal. This is the new standard. Everything else is old school. It was pretty clear as day. So that kind of market material just reinforced everyone's sort of concerns of what was going on. I'm pretty sure I didn't help either with the, well, where's Inventor in the show reel comments that I was making, but...
Well, you know, we need things like that. You know, when we appreciate when there are areas like that aren't clear. You know, sometimes we need a little kick in the pants like that. So, you know, I think bringing those things up. You know, I appreciate Stephen and Derek jumping on with you and having that interview. And as Loren has said, you know, getting that's helped get the message out. You know, we're not done by any means. It takes a while for that message to permeate out there, but it's steps like this that really help us out with that. So
awesome. Right, thanks very much, guys, for your time. Just as a recap, if you're heading out to Autodesk University this November, the class is Ask the PM panel on Tuesday at 1:30 to 2:30. If you're not going to Autodesk University, then the class will be... is your class recorded? Is it a session that will be recorded? Because I know the labs aren't. Is this going to be up online afterwards that you know of?
So both the PM panel and the crystal ball are not recorded, just because we do cover things that are under NDA typically. So.
Okay. Oh, well, that's a shame. Yeah, but if you, I guess if you are heading on over there, then head over to their class, get registered if there's any spaces there. And yeah, I'll see you two guys over in Vegas as well. I'll catch up with you when I'm over there. Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, Neil.
Cheers. Thanks.
Yeah.